Hello beautiful people, happy holidays, and welcome to our first video chat about Klara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. In this video, we're going to be analyzing 3 different passages and how their context, form, and style mixed together make the text effective. Now, let me ask you, have you read this book yet? If you haven't, don't fret, because this first passage is going to be crucial for you to understand before you even read the book. You'll see why in a second. First, let's recap. The novel takes place in our nearby future, considering everything is the same except for robots living equally among humans. The robots, which the novel calls artificial friends, or AFs, are meant to be companions for children with limited abilities. Klara, our main character, happens to become Josie's AF. Josie is a bright teenage girl, but she's unfortunately fallen ill due to the lifting process, and Klara becomes determined to save her through her spiritual belief in the sun. Josie's mom, on the other hand, Chrissy, explores futuristic ideas of replacing her daughter Josie, which she attempts to make a reality through the help of a scientist named Mr. Capaldi. And guys, we don't really like Mr. Capaldi. But we can scratch that for now. The whole novel essentially analyzes the meaning behind being human and the value in one's unique self. Now, to get the most out of this text, I'd like you to turn to page 27 where we have our first passage. If you don't have a hard copy book, feel free to go to the link in the description where there is a free online copy, and from there, it's page 29. The passage says, "We were then facing the store and I could see all the way to the glass table at the back, but the space had become partitioned into 10 boxes so that I no longer had a single unified picture of the view before me. The front alcove was in the furthest box to my right, as might be expected, and yet the magazine's table, which was nearest to the front alcove, had become divided between various boxes so that one section of the table could even be seen in the box furthest to my left. By now, the lights had been dimmed, and I spotted the other AFs in the backgrounds of several boxes, lining the walls mid-store preparing for their sleep. But my attention was drawn to the 3 center boxes at that moment containing aspects of Manager in the act of turning towards us. In one box, she was visible only from her waist to the upper part of her neck, while the box immediately beside it was almost entirely taken up by her eyes. The eye closest to us was much larger than the other, but both were filled with kindness and sadness, and yet a third box showed a part of her jaw and most of her mouth, and I detected there anger and frustration. Then she had turned fully and was coming towards us, and the store became once more a single picture." This passage marks the first time the reader is given an in-depth visual description on how Klara actually views and analyzes the world. This is super important for the reader to know so that they can accurately understand the difference between how an AF's mind works and a human's mind works, as well as how Klara's description should be imagined. To sum it up, she essentially sees a space divided up into sections, marking different important pinpoints to analyze. Then, after she's individually observed each section, she gradually makes an understanding of the picture as a whole, along with its details. The style of this passage, along with the entire novel, is told from Klara's non-human first-person perspective, and not just through words, but through her eyes as well. The form of the novel is almost like a personal diary of observations and reflections. It's also written in a grammatically simple and innocent way, like a child discovering the world for the first time. Finally, the content of this passage is a glimpse into the mechanisms of Klara's mind, enhancing the reader's understanding of how the story's narrator observes the world. So, in conclusion, this passage is non-human first-person perspective mixed with the use of imagery of what Klara is seeing in real time explains early on in the novel the main character's thought process. This also helps the reader understand how the entire novel should be perceived and visualized. This passage alone is super duper important because it enhances the text effectiveness by getting the reader on board with the unfamiliar worldview of an AF. Now, I'd like you guys to turn to page 207 in your hard copy book, or 197 in the online copy. Passage number 2 reads as follows. "So you see what's being asked of you, Klara?" Mr. Capaldi said. "You're not only being required to simply mimic Josie's outer behavior, you're being asked to continue her, for Chrissy, and for everyone who loves Josie." "But is that going to be possible?" the mother asked. "Could she really continue Josie for me?" "Yes, she can," Mr. Capaldi said. "And now Claire's completed the survey up there, I'll be able to give you scientific proof of it. Proof she's already well on her way to accessing quite comprehensively all of Josie's impulses and desires. The trouble is, Chrissy, you're like me. We're both of us sentimental. We can't help it. Our generations still carry the old feelings. A part of us refuses to let go. That part wants us to keep believing there's something unreachable inside of each of us, something that's unique and won't transfer. But there's nothing like that. We know that now. You know that. For people our age, it's hard one to let go. We have to let it go, Chrissy. There's nothing there. Nothing inside Josie that's beyond the Claras of this world to continue. The second Josie won't be a copy. She'll be the exact same, and you'll have every right to love her just the way you love Josie now. It's not faith you need, only rationality. So, this passage is a part of the scene where Mr. Capaldi first introduces the idea of Klara becoming Josie, and basically, Clara's real purpose in Josie's life finally comes to light. He explains how there is no difference between a girl like Josie and what Klara can replicate with science. This shows just how far technology has advanced to the point where people have no real value as long as one doesn't hold any sentiment. The content of this passage poses a moral and emotional dilemma, emphasizing the drastic woke ideas of the novel's timeline. See, in reality, societal norms and what is accepted is destined to change over many decades, but in recent times, technology proves that the transitions into new normals happen much, much faster. The passage exemplifies one of these transitions in real time as Chrissy tries her best to accept what is meant to be normalized, and her conflict between Mr. Capaldi remains around sentiment and rationality. The form uses dialogue, but it is still being observed through Klara. The dialogue uses assertive conflict between the characters about the power of both technology and the human identity. This helps to further develop the novel's central theme about what it means to be human. Mr. Capaldi's style of speaking is persuasive, but almost like a plea to abolish the past ways of thinking and entirely transition into a futuristic mindset. The disturbing possibility of replacing a human with a robot is spoken about so casually that it becomes unsettling. This enhances the text's effectiveness because it lets the reader think about how in our society absurd dystopian tales can become reality too. The combination of a conflict, moral dilemma, and human versus technology theme of this passage allows the reader to reflect on their own value as an individual in the age of AI. This makes a stronger emotional connection to the novel formed by fear, curiosity, and astonishment. Okay guys, we're on to passage number 3. If you have a hard copy book, turn to page 269 at the very bottom of the page, and online, go to page 242. In this rather shorter passage, we have Klara talking directly to the sun in a prayer-like state. She says, "I don't mind that I lost precious fluid. I'd willingly have given more, given it all, if it meant you're providing special help to Josie. As you know, since I was last here, I've discovered about the other way to save Josie, and if that was all that was left, I'd do my very utmost. But I'm not yet certain the other way would work, however hard I tried, and so my deep wish now is that the sun will show his great kindness once more." The form remains in first person, and it is a monologue since the sun doesn't actually respond to Klara directly. This is good because it allows the reader to understand Klara's inner thoughts and feelings at their most vulnerable state. The content here shows Klara's deep self-sacrifice and devotion towards helping Josie. It's ironic that Klara, a robot, cares more about Josie's life and realizes the value in her life more than other humans do. The passage also shows that her connection with the sun is more than just a source for her solar energy. To Klara, the sun is like a god who can answer prayers and cares about its people's well-being. Finally, the style of Klara speaking with the sun shows sincerity, honesty, and respect, as she is in her own form of prayer. She also doesn't need to pretend to care about Josie or cherish the sun. It all comes naturally to her. How this passage makes the text effective is by allowing the reader to humanize Klara's character despite being an artificial friend. The blend of getting access to her direct thoughts, seeing her self-sacrifice, and her love towards Josie and the sun evolves the novel's plot through examining human morals from an outer perspective. It shows how truly important it is to cherish our own identity and spirituality if a robot longs for it as much as a human might. And that's it for our first deep dive into Klara and the Sun. I hope you guys found these passages as intriguing as I did, and I hope to see you guys in the next video, which is a crash course style on Klara and the Sun and why the novel is important to society and culture today. Anyways, hope you guys have a great day. Bye bye!